Hello, guys. So, we are in the next episode of People of Nature podcast. And today with us, we have Dr. Mehreen Khaleel, all the way from Kashmir. Dr. Mehreen completed her doctorate in ecological sciences from IIC Bangalore, and she started working in Kashmir to sensitize people towards biodiversity and its conservation. She formalized this into a registered NGO, Wildlife Research and Conservation Foundation, WRCF, in 2018. And since then, she has engaged local communities, students, and policymakers to normalize using scientific knowledge to conserve nature and wildlife in Kashmir. As the founder and head, she manages diverse conservation projects, actively promoting women in STEM through WRCF, and has developed a significant partnership with collaborators from across India to work on Kashmir's biodiversity conservation. Apart from managing the organization, she also works as an independent researcher and a consultant for various conservation projects in Kashmir. So, welcome, Mehreen, on this podcast. We are very happy to have you. So,
Thank, thank you, Pankaj and people for nature. It is really a pleasure to speak about my work, about my passion to people who really appreciate this kind of work, and I really hope you all get inspired and work towards the same cause equally.
thank you, Mehreen. So, our first question to you is, can you please quickly summarize your doctoral work for our audience?
Yeah, so for my PhD research, I worked on little known Himalayan primate known as the Himalayan grey langur. From this part of Kashmir, we had very little information about this langur. So my
Yeah.
PhD work was mostly related to understanding its ecology, its
Mhm.
feeding behavior, how it is surviving in these conditions, in this landscape, and mostly this information would add knowledge to whatever we know about high altitude primates and specifically about colobines. So um, through my work, a part of my work, even though was related to animal behavior, a part of my work was also related to the conservation of this species.
Mhm.
So it involved speaking or talking to local people, letting them know what is there in their forests and how they can be a part of conserving this endangered species in Kashmir. So, this is a very short, super gist summary of my doctoral work.
That sounds really fantastic. Working in high altitude mountains and that to Kashmir Himalayas is really challenging. That to working on a primate is, I guess, it must have been really a challenging task. So you did a BSMS degree at ISER Mohali, while you were working on your MSc research project. I think you worked on ecology of fruit flies. So, did your passion for wildlife conservation start after that, or was it something you always wanted to do as a career? What was the plan?
So I hardly, knew about wildlife conservation. I was more interested in animal behavior. So we had our teacher, Dr. N.G. Prasad. He taught us ecology and evolution at BSNMS level at ISER Mohali. The way he used to teach us about evolution that had a bit of animal behavior that really intrigued the interest in me. So it was more about animals and how we can understand animals in light of evolution. So that was the starting point that led me to understanding behavior of fruit flies. So my master's dissertation has something to do with uh, behavior of fruit flies or Drosophila melanogaster in a laboratory setup. Um, there, I didn't know about conservation. So, in one of the internships, I told my mentor that I need to work on a larger animal so that I can understand animal behavior better. So he told me there are various places. Why don't you go and join? He told me about places in IIC, in Wildlife Institute of India, who primarily work on subjects, animal subjects, and who work towards conservation. So in one of the internships, I got a chance to work with at the Wildlife Institute of India. The supervisor I was working with had nothing to do with primates, had nothing to do with conservation. So I was the one who told him that, look, I find this species very interesting, and this is an endangered species, and there are various threats which are associated to um uh, this species, specifically langurs. So I went up to him and told him that I want to work on this. He said, I know nothing about primates. So I said, it's okay, I'll figure it out on my own. And maybe that was the starting point when I started working on animal behavior, which later on, as I went along, started working more towards this um, topic. I figured that there is a lot we need to do to save these species. Understanding behavior is one aspect, conservation is an entirely different aspect altogether. So as I moved on, I started working more, digging deeper into the ecology of the species, the Himalayan Langur species. Um, there, my PhD supervisor, you know, started this conversation about conservation. He told me that what can we as scientists do about conservation of such endangered species, and a part of it was involving local people, talking to
Right.
them, involving them in the discussions, telling them what is going wrong, where is going wrong. So I really liked that idea.
Yeah.
Before that, in my BSc, MSc, I was just confined to my own space, in my own research laboratory, in my own, in the research papers. But conservation had more to do to it. It had more involvement of people, more involvement of stakeholders, involvement of local people who are directly associated in a way. So I
Right.
liked that entire concept, and maybe that's why I was driven more towards it.
Wow. That sounds like a fantastic journey. And coming from you, choosing a species, which is located in an area which is really remote, sampling is difficult. That too, it's an endangered animal. I think it's a really challenging task. Now I'm thinking about it. So I see that your efforts have been directed towards setting up an NGO, WRCF, and that too in Kashmir. So, what difficulties did you face when setting up your own wildlife conservation NGO?
Yeah, so while I was pursuing my PhD, as I said, that a part of it was also, engaging with people, engaging with local communities. I realized that the younger generation from Kashmir hardly knows about what's there in the forests, or hardly knows about uh, not just animals, but even plants. They're hardly aware of it. They are aware of grizzly bears, of antelopes, which are hardly found here, but they don't know hangul, they don't know markhor, or they don't know the local ungulates which are found here, or they don't know the flora, the
Hmm.
native plants and the native species. And that really, striked a thought in me that maybe uh, the responsibility of telling them these things lies on me. So I remember speaking to a friend of mine. So I know him for past 10 15 years now. He told me, why don't we start doing something which benefits both of us, benefits researchers, benefits people who think about conservation, and the local people equally, in terms of knowledge sharing. So we initially started off with lectures, workshops, doing with local people, going to rural places, talking to them about local flora and fauna. Later on in 2018, we thought of formalizing this idea into a Kashmir based organization by the name Wildlife Research and Conservation Foundation. And the main aim was to sensitize people about the biodiversity of this region, along with that, spread the idea of wildlife conservation. And I believe we have been quite successful. It's been 5+ years, and we have been active since 2020. So, at the moment I came back after my PhD, we started working on ground here, and since then it's been working pretty fine.
Wow, that sounds really interesting. Completing 5 years, for an NGO is really a milestone that you have achieved. So congratulations for that. But I understand that NGOs quite a time struggle with funds. So even with your NGO, how is your experience trying to raise fund for wildlife projects?
Yes. So initially, we did face a lot of challenges, particularly when we started going to potential people who could really help us raising funds. They would hardly understand that what we are doing. We really had to tell them that this is something we really want to do, or we are passionate about, or we need this for the people. um, we really had a tough time making them understand what wildlife conservation actually means. And but thankfully, people outside Kashmir could understand this. They understood the need of the hour. Why is it important to have a grassroots level organization to work on this cause? And we have had people even working for us from outside Kashmir, helping us financially as well. Um, right now, we are also working in collaboration with other organizations, and we are in a way the anchor for them from Kashmir region, the only anchor for them from Jammu and Kashmir both.
Wow,
And it's been a initially a tough journey, but I think we are going in the right direction.
wow, that's fantastic. So I'll change the track a little bit. I'll come to your career track now. So I see that you have completed a BSMS degree from ISER Mohali and then a doctorate from ISC Bangalore. And then you have moved on to set up a NGO in Kashmir. So this sounds like a more academic track, a default academic track. So what has been the favorite moment of your career so far?
Um, so initially, I also thought that after my PhD, I'll do postdoc and then maybe find a faculty position somewhere, continue doing my research. But I think post PhD, I really realized that whatever I'm doing in wildlife conservation is giving me positive results. I could see people responding to whatever we were posting on our social media.
Mhm.
I remember in 2020 we did Kashmir's first wildlife photography competition. We had
Oh,
sponsors from all across India, and it was a very huge event. We ran that event for a month, and we collected all the photographs from the local people of uh, whatever biodiversity they had seen.
interesting.
So it included birds, animals, insects, and
Wow.
we had around 150 participants, local participants, and more than
Oh,
1,000 entries for the entire month. So every day we would post 10 best photos. Photos were not based on the technicalities of it. We were just more focused on getting a diversity of the species, in terms of biodiversity. So our selection of photos was based on that. This helped us build an initial repository of the local biodiversity. And now WRCF has published that as the Kashmir's first coffee table book on biodiversity. It's named Wild Frames.
oh,
And
wow.
and after that, we have people have been tagging us, asking us questions, whatever they see. They see an insect, they tag us. can you help us identify? Do you know what this is? They have been actively participating in this, and we have had people, trekkers, going to unexplored places, getting photographs of flora, fauna, whatever they get, and
Yeah.
tagging us. And that's, I would say, that's the most rewarding thing, when people, what you have, the
Mhm.
idea that you had planted is coming back to you. So
Right.
that is one. Another is when so we also do, in this organization, we also do outdoor sessions, outdoor activities with local people. So whosoever is interested in, let's say, a bird walk or a tree walk, or just a biodiversity or a nature walk, so those
Yeah.
people come along with us, our experts, our resource persons. They give them, um, the immense knowledge, whatever they have gathered across all these years, whether it's scientific knowledge or through the experience that they get.
Mhm.
And when these people get along more new people than next time, I think that's the most rewarding thing, because maybe we were able to communicate well to those people, and they understood our thought, they understood what we are doing, and they communicated the same thing further. So it's like that chain. The idea goes from one person to another, and from
Mhm.
another person to another, and then it comes back to you. That then you really feel that whatever you have been doing is actually paying off. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's, I think that's the reason why I haven't been to other, haven't looked around for academic positions, even though there are incidences when my parents tell me that maybe
Yeah.
you should find a permanent, faculty
Yeah.
position there and here. Yeah.
Wow, that's really amazing. So on ground positive impact is what you're looking for. I can see that. And the citizen science or the crowdsourced data that you collected, it was multi-taxa, right? I mean, you had 150 participants collecting data about Kashmir's biodiversity. That's a fantastic idea, to start with. Of course, it's going to be rewarding. I can totally connect, totally understand this. But let's look at the other part of the coin as well. So these were your favorite moments of your career. You must have also faced a lot of challenges across your career. So can you just mention maybe a couple of challenges for our audience, and also tell us how you overcome them?
So initially, when we started talking about wildlife conservation in Kashmir, the biggest challenge I faced and the team faced was, Kashmir has a history of hunting and poaching and
Mhm.
games,
Yeah.
as hunting as a sport. So
Right.
when suddenly we start talking about conservation, these people, uh, these people start questioning that why do we really need to do this when this is available for food, when this is, when
Yes.
such
A
and such
very,
animal is
very
available for
common
fun.
question.
Yes. So, and that's one thing. Another thing, because we also have to look into the fact that Kashmir has had a long history of conflict.
Mhm.
And here, when you talk about animals, they feel ki why do we really need to talk about animals when there has been a lot of
Yes.
um, you know not good things happening with humans. So
Right.
why do we need to save animals when nobody is caring taking care about humans? So this was the question that I've faced. There are these questions which I still face, which our team members still face. But then
Yeah.
I believe every new thought in a place takes
Mhm.
time, and
Yeah.
I'm sure every other NGO anywhere, or any other organization elsewhere in the world, must have faced the same challenge.
Yes.
So how do we overcome? Most of the times we ignore, and other,
The easy way.
and the other times we do talk about things. It is frustrating.
Mhm.
We have our WhatsApp group. We keep on talking about these things. Look, this is talking about this. This is talking about that. We have been working towards this thing for past 5 years now. working
Mm.
continuously for the past 3 years. There are still people talking about this. This gets frustrating at some time. But I
Yeah.
think at some point, what you all have to do is to have that faith that
Yes.
whatever you are saying will have a positive result. So, yeah, that's how we are doing it.
Yeah, just connecting. There's another connecting question with what you just said. So there are ecologists, there are conservationists, there are social activists. So ecology researchers, whatever little we do, especially ecologists and conservationists, contribute to science. It helps on ground conservation in the long run. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But with regard to Kashmir or the place where you're working, what are your thoughts about it? Do you think your contributions would really matter in the long run conservation?
Yes, definitely. So, as part of citizen science engagement, as I said,
Mhm.
Wild Frames was like a mini citizen science engagement. We are
Mhm.
also working on collecting data on trees, collecting data on odonates, the little known from this
Yeah.
place, collecting citizen science data on water bodies, wetlands, whatever we can think of. And I'm sure this is just the first ripple in the pond. And I'm
Yeah.
sure the more we keep on engaging people, and I'm sure all this research is going to take some time. So in general, researchers have to have patience, people have to have patience to see those results. And what nice
Mhm.
thing this continuous monitoring has been doing is putting J&K on the
Mhm.
biodiversity map globally.
Yeah.
For the past 30 years, we have had no information from this place. Now, uh,
Yes.
thankfully, with people's engagement, with our collaborative efforts with other organizations, we have put some data from this place in the global map.
I can actually see that some dragonfly data coming from Kashmir makes me really happy.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we have been initially we struggled a bit, but then I think with our resource persons,
Mhm.
he did a very good job in engaging people in that. He was the only person that we know who can talk about odonates from this place, and he
Yeah.
is doing a very good job. For the past 3 years or so, we have been continuously monitoring three wetlands from this place and monitoring odonate diversity from this place.
Yeah. I think small projects like this, if we do this consistently over a long term, would really, give you those fruits that you're looking for. So, what are your plans for WRCF for the future? What are the activities are you planning?
So, our main idea is one, to raise awareness of local people, and second, what I personally, am inclined to is create an aggregator in Kashmir where all these experts, all these as in all the, you know, science knowing experts
Mhm.
can contribute and build towards a knowledge which is based on science, which could
Mhm.
lead towards conservation. And I'm still struggling to find such like minded people here. We are only, so in our core team, we are four members of diverse backgrounds.
Mhm.
We are still struggling to find those people who could contribute for this cause. But
Yeah.
we have our hopes high. We really want those people to come
Mhm.
together to help us build that knowledge from this place, so that somewhere down the line we can also say a successful conservation story from this part of the world. Kashmir is known for many reasons. I want
Yes.
it to be known for its conservation efforts.
Wow, that's really. I think that's the vision of your NGO and your work, and that talks a lot about you and your efforts. So I'm coming down to our last question, and before that, I would like to thank you once again for being on this platform, People of Nature podcast. We are really lucky to have you. You could spare some time to have a conversation with us. So thank you, Mehreen, for being with us. So here it goes. My last question to you, and I think this would be the most important question. As a women scientist, and that too located in an area of the country often referred, to in terms of conflict and war. You already said that, and we all know that, right? It's often referred in terms of conflict and war. So, what message do you have for young researchers from the region who want to join wildlife conservation?
It's actually a very good question. This um, so I get to a lot of people ask this question, that you
Mhm.
being a women scientist in the field of
Yeah,
wildlife biology and wildlife conservation, how do you, how does this work around for you?
yeah, yeah.
I i would really say, I'm grateful to my parents. Initially they were very reluctant, when
Yeah.
they started when they saw that what kind of challenges I could face, but
Mhm.
they never said those things out loud. They never stopped me from doing what I was doing. That's the one positive thing that happened.
Yeah.
Luckily, I have had people around me who were always positive about what I was doing, and they also saw that, I was passionate. I was doing work with dedication, so they never stopped. They never questioned. So I don't know what's going on behind my back. Maybe in front of me, they always said, they always said good things. So I never felt, those. I never got those negative criticism from people.
Yeah.
And very, very thankfully, the men around me were always very supportive. Even in the lab, my supervisor, my lab mates, people around here, my field assistant, the people I work with, my students now, everybody has been very supportive. And
Mhm.
that also, builds up on you, that you can
Yeah.
do things. So
Yes.
um, as somebody in this field, I have always been lucky, thankfully. And
Mhm.
everybody in the family, not just my parents, my you know close
Yeah.
family, everybody in the family appreciated what I was doing, so that really added on to what I was doing. Second thing, I have always struggled to find female researchers in this
Mhm.
field from the very beginning, from taking interns to somebody working, in the decision making towards
Okay.
this. I have literally struggled to get those people, but luckily there have been few incidences when people have come up, females researchers have come up.
Okay.
They they have seen what struggles or what challenges I have faced. They take
Mhm.
inspiration from that.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, getting a female candidate for the work that we do has been slightly difficult, but not impossible.
Okay.
I remember one of the interns I have had last time. I would literally go to her place, pick her up from there, take her to field along with me, drop her back, even though her
Oh.
parents were even though her parents were willing, but they had this thing in mind,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Right.
For
Okay.
younger generation who really wants to join this wildlife conservation, I
Mhm.
would say wildlife conservation is a thought, is an idea, for me is a philosophical idea, where you have to really start working towards it by making small changes in you. Not just
Yes.
wildlife conservation, nature conservation in general. For example, not wasting a lot of water
Yeah.
while while taking a bath, while washing your clothes. Making those small changes in you can help you understand the idea better, and then using your skills, technical skills, education, knowledge, you can use this for conservation.
Yeah.
So, if you really want to do this, I would say, to the people of Kashmir, one, to build your
Mhm.
CV in such a way that you can really work towards it. Wildlife conservation is a multidisciplinary uh,
Yeah.
subject. You need to have knowledge of, physics, chemistry, maths, biology, everything, and you need
Yes.
to build your CV for that if you are really passionate about doing this. And try to explore as many spaces as you can, whether it's in academia, whether these are NGOs, whether there are institutions. Try to explore, talk to those people, try to see if your philosophy matches along with the the organization's philosophy, and then go about doing that. Yeah.
Wow. So I think that that's just bullseye. You have hit the bullseye. I mean, that was perfect. Just an idea, philosophy that you have to practice and you have to build your CV towards it. I think you have really got the crux of it, Mehreen. So thanks a lot once again for being on this platform. And I hope all our audience will enjoy the stories, conservation stories coming from all the way from Kashmir. Thank you, Mehreen.
Thank you so much.